All right, guys, we're back with another episode of Talking Preps. I got most of the crew here. We got Coach Griner, Miss Chelsea. I got the guru, Chris Hughes, and Dale Ross, the cooker. I hope you guys saw Dale's video. He was making some hot wings with 9 different types of hot sauce. And got my man Grice in here. I know everybody wants to see Dave Doeren, so we're going to play the music. And we'll come back with Coach Doeren. What's it like to be back again with fans in the stands, coaching like that? That must be pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's very nice to have crowd noise and fans and, you know, all the pageantry that you expect to have in college football. And it was awesome seeing our student section doing what they do in our opener and being able to go through the Walk of Champions with our fans, the whole thing. It was nice.
Duke's not on the schedule. I know we talked before about you wanted to play Duke. I mean, how important is that to you and how difficult is that not to have him on there?
Well, I think we should get to play him at least every 4 years. You know, it's for the players that, you know, sign with this, particularly, you know, 70% of our team is from North Carolina, to not get a chance to play everybody in state during their tenure here, I think is just not the right way to do things from a scheduling standpoint. And so, you know, however they set it up, I just think there should be a better variety of rotational teams in our setup.
How important is it to you to have great relationships with your high school coaches around the state, and not just the state, but obviously around the Southeast and your whole recruiting bed?
Well, it means a lot. You know, I started this professional journey as a high school coach back in my hometown in Kansas City. And I remember, you know, that first year of coaching when college coaches would come in and the ones that would treat everybody with respect and sit down and talk football with you, and versus the guys that would come in and act like they're better than you. I mean, I remembered it, and it left an impression on me. So I try to get out when I can. Our staff gets out every chance we can get out, and you know, we reach out, you know, through social media, through Twitter, or text. And Henry Trevathan from my staff, you know, does a great job of communicating with the high school coaches just on what's going on with our program from week to week.
I'm glad you brought up the fact that you're a high school coach. That's obviously where I started too. When was it that you kind of developed that bug for coaching football, that really kind of put that seed or that passion for you that obviously helped you to excel professionally, but just kind of gave you that first love for the game?
I can't hear anything.
Summer before my senior year in college, I coached a high school 7-on-7 team at my alma mater, and just loved it. And at that point decided that's the route I wanted to pursue, and started, you know, trying to find GA jobs and couldn't get one. And so I just went home and found a high school job, paid, you know, like $400 and went to work. And from there, I, you know, just got an opportunity to go back to Drake where I played to be a GA a year later.
Is the video playing for you guys?
Started from there.
Speaking of 2-3 sport guys, you know, I come from the era where, you know, you played all 3 big sports: football, basketball, baseball. A lot of guys ran track or wrestled. Well, what is your thoughts as a coach on players or athletes that come that just want to specialize on one sport, whether it be baseball? We see it a lot in baseball. Sometimes you see it with basketball, and sometimes now we're starting to see it even more with these travel football, some of the traveling 7-on-7 teams. But what was your thought, or maybe what would your advice be, I guess would be the better way to phrase this question, Coach, to parents or to kids who are thinking about just specializing on one versus playing them all?
Mm-hmm. I personally like multi-sport athletes a lot. I think they're competing in seasons longer than guys that are in one sport. They go from football to basketball to whatever that other sport is, and they just don't stop competing, you know. And not only that, they're training themselves in, you know, different movements, different patterns of movement. You know, I think it helps from an injury standpoint. Sometimes I think when guys are only in one sport, they're more prone to injury. But you know, obviously we're going to recruit them all and try to get the best players we can get. But you know, if you were asking me what advice would you give to young people, I think they should compete as much as they can compete, be in as many sports as they can be in.
Yeah, Coach, you've had a lot of success recruiting kids out of Charlotte, you know, Jalen Scott and Porter Rooks and kids like that. What advice would you give to parents as they're trying to navigate the recruiting waters, just about how to get their name out there, how to be seen, maybe not even always at your level, but at any level? What's the best route you think to go if you're a parent of a young kid?
Well, I don't think it's the parent's job, first of all. It's the young person's job to play well enough to be recruited and do well enough in school. With the readiness of Huddle and how easily we can get film now, if a guy's a good player, we're going to find him. And the first question we're going to ask when we like his film is, what type of student is he? So, if the kid doesn't have good film, but he's been marketed well, we're not going to recruit him. If a kid has good film and he's a bad student, we're not going to recruit him. So, I think there's a little bit of a misnomer that they got to have all these different services helping them. I personally feel like there should be more focus on playing well, being a good teammate, and being a good student, and let the coaches do their job and go find them.
Does the cold emailing of the position coach, is that helpful or not? Just for have a kid just
Not really. No, I mean, we have recruiting staffs now at this level, and that's what they do. And I think, if you're trying to send film to someone, sending it, for us, it's Mercy Felez, but to the director of player personnel at the university, he's the one that's going to hand that off and first evaluate it before the assistant coach does anyway. But there's so much spam email we get on kids as position coaches anymore. I'm not sure how many of those get opened. I think your best route is going directly to the recruiting office.
All right, cool.
Hey, Coach, I always ask this to all the guys who come here on Talking Preps Overtime, because obviously, my background is as a coach, and I'm not going to be able to do what I'm doing forever, as is any of us really. But I've seen the impact you've made on the program there at NC State. I think you've done a masterful job. I think the program, I've been in the office, I've hung out with Coach Trevathan many times. Just the culture that you guys have created is just top notch. But whenever it is that Coach Doeren decides to, hang up the whistle and move on to the next stage, what is it that you try to leave people with? And I'm sure you try to teach this to your players as well. What your legacy would be, how people think of you when you move on. I mean, what with foot, maybe aside from football, I guess is the way I'm trying to say this, Coach. What's the most important thing that you want people to think about when they think of Coach Dave Doeren?
Well, that's first of all, I appreciate all the nice things you said there. That's a difficult thing to answer, I think. With these players, my goal has always been to help them become the best version of themselves. I want them to turn around at the end of their time with me and thank me, for pushing them, for holding them accountable, for living up to my end of it. And I promised them I wouldn't let them underachieve, and that I'd surround them with great people and motivate them and love them. And that's really what I hope I get out of this. Obviously winning and bowl games and all those things are great, but I didn't get into coaching for that. I got into coaching because I love helping young people, and I still love that. It means a lot to me when someone comes up to me that played for me, regardless of when it happens, and thanks me for pushing them or for being hard on them or for telling them the truth or helping them through a tough time. And I think that's the best part of this job, is you get to serve others. So hopefully that's what people remember me by.
Yeah. Coach, you did a phenomenal job last year with all that new staff to turn things around in a COVID year. Would you say that was the hardest you've ever had to work? And how did that affect you moving forward? How are you going to work moving forward?
Yeah, it was hard. It was just so many unknowns, every day we were just changing things. And, as you guys know, the unknowns of COVID, like the rules, nobody knew what to do, and there wasn't much leadership, and even the leaders were struggling with telling everyone what to do in the country. Yeah. So I think the thing that at the early point in this thing, we embraced it as a staff, and we did a good job of getting our players to understand the value of, look, if we want to have an edge on every team we play, let's handle this scenario better than anyone else can handle it. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of people that fail, struggling with changes in schedules, changes in protocols, changes in how we practice, changes in how we meet. And I said, if we just don't complain and do the best we can and look out for each other, and do it every day, we're going to be in a lot better place than most of these teams out there. And I thought our guys bought into that. And, the social injustice part that came along with it, our players did such a great job with our coaches and all of us just coming together through that tough period. It was the hardest year, not in coaching, but just in everything else. Everything but coaching. Coaching was still coaching, but everything else was just, you couldn't be trained for that.
All right. There's your man, Dave Doeren. We got Sam sitting in for Gary as we hit the rundown. Are you ready for this, Sam?
Oh, this is easy.
This is easy, he says. Okay, we'll see how easy it is. All right, you guys see the topics. We're going to go top. Actually, no, we're not going to go top to bottom. Grice, what is the best college sports rivalry? And we're going to combine hoops and basketball. So you're choosing between Kentucky Louisville basketball, UNC Duke basketball, Army Navy football, and I kind of know which way Sam's going to go here. Auburn Alabama football, Oklahoma Texas football. What's the best rivalry in college sports?
When I look at best rivalry, to me it's something that, games that have importance. You look at the last 4 years, the Iron Bowl's got to be the best rivalry. You talk about Auburn, Alabama. Usually that's been, for if not national championship implications, it's been a game that's propelled one or the other team into major college sports prominence. Actually, the last 4 years, as dominant as Alabama's been, the Iron Bowl is 2-2. So to me, that is another element of a key rivalry there, where you have both teams that have great chances to win. And, how many pros do come from that rivalry that are now in the NFL? So to me, it's not hard. Auburn, Alabama's been great.
Chris.
To be the best rivalry in the entire nation, the rivalry itself has to captivate America. While Duke and Carolina is probably the best college rivalry, I don't think that it captures the hearts and minds of every person in the country like the Army-Navy game. To me, it's all Army-Navy.
Army-Navy. Oh, Sam. All right, Samuel, what team should be featured on Hard Knocks next year?
Honestly, I think they need to go back to the Raiders just because I want to hear John Gruden say, knock on wood if you're with me. Like that dude, he's the greatest. Like, it was so boring watching the Cowboys. It was so boring. Right. But I was glued to the TV watching the Raiders. The Raiders.
That was one heck of a football game last night, the Raiders.
That was the most, and that's what I'm saying. That's what you bring to. I've never witnessed a game that was that crazy. Then I even watched it. You watched it with Peyton and Eli, like doing the commentary.
That was better than the TV version. ESPN's kind of hurting themselves putting that on.
Oh my gosh, they are classic. They're so amazing.
And then they bring in the kid from Seattle, Russell Wilson. That was great TV. In fact, I was talking to Chris about doing something just like that last week, and I watched that and it kind of really convinced me. Alex, what team next year on Hard Knocks?
The Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers epitomize the NFL's tradition and legacy, and furthermore, it will be great to see in terms of the notion of surviving in the NFL. You're looking at a franchise that has had 3 head coaches since 1969. We're talking 50-plus years. The abilities of head coaches, all 3 who won Super Bowls, Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin, to adjust to changes in the game, changes in player personalities, and to rebrand and adjust their messages well beyond decade-long windows and survive and thrive in the NFL gets at the essence of what it truly takes to compete at the highest level and to sustain that over a period of time. You want to learn what it takes to sustain one's career and sustain success in the NFL, and blend that with the respect for tradition and legacy. The Pittsburgh Steelers epitomize that.
Absolutely. All right. Chris, best high school football rivalry in the past 20 years.
I really want to say Independence and Butler. I think back to that run that we were all graced with from, say, 2003, 4 through the mid 2000 teens, I guess.
Yeah.
But Independence just hadn't really held up their end of the deal and maintained the level of competitiveness. Hopefully with Coach DJ McFadden coming, that he can get them back on track. Heck, I even remember, I think it might have been 2009 when you had the sinkhole in Memorial Stadium and they played that game at Independence. That was even a tough ticket for media people to get into because it's so just big time. But I've got to say the best is really Tuscola and Pisgah. You want to see.
I knew you were going to say that.
You want to see what high school football was like in the 60s or what it's like in Texas or somewhere where entire communities just shut down, roll up the tents and go to the game, go to that one. You'll be amazed at just how important it is to the fabric of both of them communities.
Well, here comes an answer from 336. Grice, let's go.
I wanted to go there so bad, but I just, and I think we're talking about it in the back. It's got to be Shelby and Chris, doesn't it? I mean, I feel like everything Chris said embodies that rivalry. And I mean, you talk about just some of the collegiate athletes that come out of the pros that come out of that area. Like that has to be the major rivalry. I mean, to me,
Shelby Kings Mountain ain't bad either. It's all pretty good up there. Overrated. Alex, who's the most overrated team? Ohio State, Notre Dame State, Texas, Coastal Carolina.
All of them are overrated. Ohio State beat Michigan, then come talk to me. Notre Dame joined the ACC as a full-fledged member in all sports, including football, and then come talk to me. NC State, figure out a way to host a football game in Carter Finley Stadium during the state fair, just like you have the Texas-Oklahoma Red River rivalry during the Texas State Fair at the Cotton Bowl. So figure out a way to host a game at Carter Finley Stadium during the North Carolina State Fair, and then come talk to me. Texas beat Oklahoma, and then come talk to me. Coastal Carolina beat Appalachian State. The Fighting Mountaineers almost got Miami again. Obviously, no one learned anything from Michigan back in the day. Beat them, and then come talk to me. They're all overrated.
Sam, follow up.
All right, it's pretty simple. It's Texas. Coastal Carolina is definitely not overrated. They're legit. Notre Dame is a very sound team. Ohio State is not what they've been in the past. But when it comes down to it, Texas has just not lived up to their name. You're supposed to say everything's bigger in Texas. College football is better when Texas is a legit program. They haven't been relevant in probably, 7 years now or so? So it's definitely Texas.
Okay. Super Bowl picks. Grice, who you got?
I mean, watching Tampa Bay, it's hard not to say that they can't repeat. I mean, you look at Tampa Bay, you look at the Chiefs. I think we're going to get that part 2 of that game. And I mean, you can bet against Tom Brady. I'm not going to.
All right. Alex, who you got?
In the Super Bowl, it really doesn't matter. I mean, I really have given no thought to it whatsoever. I mean,
if you had to pick a winner, who would you pick?
If I had to pick a winner,
yes,
Roger Goodell.
All right, Sam, who's your Super Bowl pick?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm with Grice on this 100%. I think that you're going to see a repeat of last year, and it's good for TV because you got the GOAT versus like the LeBron James aspect, like trying to take over Michael Jordan, which he's nowhere close. Just like LeBron James ain't close to Michael Jordan, Patrick Mahomes is not close to Tom Brady, but he's got all the talent, he's got all the skills, he's got everything around him, the flashy lights, so all the bells and whistles to throw to. But I think they're too high powered. That both of them have stellar defensive players, not necessarily always defensive stats, but they have guys that can make plays in big games.
All right, Chris, let's end up. Who you got?
As much as I want to pick my Washington football team, I just don't think they're going to get there, especially if Fitzpatrick is injured. I've got to go with the GOAT, though, Tom Brady, most likely over Kansas City.
Tom Brady, the GOAT over Kansas City. I think that's a pretty good pick. All right, Sam, it's your time. Are you nervous? I'm frozen, but I hope y'all can hear me still. Are you nervous, Sam?
No, I'm not nervous. Come on, is this Jack?
Yes, sir.
Must be nervous at Jack.
Fresh off his visit from Virginia Tech. Jack, tell us how the visit went.
The visit went great. It was really good. Enter Sandman is something else.
You ready to commit?
I don't know. I got to keep my options open. I'm still young, still got time.
Yeah.
Is Shebus your guy? Contact Shebus.
I talked to Coach Shebus and Coach Brett Arkillian. He's a special teams assistant there.
Okay, cool deal. That's all.
Tell us about long snappers, because nobody really talks about long snappers. You guys have a very important role, and how do you train to be really good at what you do?
It's really similar to like golf or like practicing your golf swing over and over again, repetition, slowing it down, filming it in slow motion, breaking down little bits and pieces. It's one big moving thing that like the slightest thing can completely throw off a snap.
And tell us about how RDK's gotten to 3-0 this year.
We've been playing together as a team great. We've been gelling really well. The team, we've just been playing as a team. And it shows out there on the field. We got our quarterback, Jack Curtis, has been doing his thing. All of our receivers, our defense has been stepping up, making big plays, and we've just been winning games.
You guys been running. Go ahead, Sam.
Well, speaking of precise, you see that guy you got in the background. Look at, always check the background. Nolan Ryan. That is the GOAT right there. I mean, you old enough to know Nolan Ryan for real?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I like it, man. I like it a lot. Good deal. And then you're right. That Enter the Sandman is one of the greatest entrants into college football. That Clemson is pretty special.
RDK's making a run through the Union County Powers. You guys got Porter Ridge this week. Tell us about playing Porter Ridge. What's that going to be like?
I'm super excited. I know our team is really excited to finish off the Union County stint, as it seems like, as we're going through all the teams out there. And we're not overlooking. They're a great team. They're good, just classic football team. They play great football. Yeah. We're excited to play them.
They need to give you guys a trophy or something if you win this game. Union County Championship. All right, so you know the rules here. You got to knock down Sam. He's on a little win streak. I got to hear him brag all week long. So we're going to play his music, then you're going to take him down.
Brother, I'm not MJ, just Coach Griner, but I'm the GOAT of the game show.
I should get like an extra credit point because that's a good-looking fellas in that video.
See, I told you. All right, you know how this goes. Dale, you're up first. Let's go.
Okay, Saturday UNC beat Georgia State 59-17. Sam Howell, he became the second Tar Heel quarterback to throw for more than 300 yards and rush for more than 100 in the same game. Who was the first? A, Darian Durant. B, Mitch Trubisky. C, Marquise Williams. D, Ronald Curry.
Okay, Jack, it's on you because you're the visiting team. So who are you going with?
I'm going with B, Mitch Trubisky.
B, Mitch Trubisky. Samuel, you sounded real confident. What you going with?
You sound very confident. I disagree with it, though. I'm going to take a risk here. I think it's between A or D.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with D.
D, Ronald Curry. The answer is C, Marquise Williams. He did it in 2014 against Notre Dame. I hope he's watching so he can get on you.
Yeah, all I remember is the game he got beat 10-7. That's all I remember.
Oh, okay. All right. That he had a hurt ankle in that game.
Oh my gosh. Are we still going about this? We got to clamp them up, baby. Clamp them up.
He was injured. Okay, so we're tied still at 0-0. Chelsea, let's go.
The number one country song in the country is called Fancy Like, and it's been on top of the chart for 8 weeks. Who sings it? A, Walker Hayes. B, Luke Bryan. C, Jason Aldean and Carrie Underwood. Or D, Kofi Anderson.
Samuel, what's your answer?
C.
C. All right. Jack, what you got?
I'm going with A.
Jack, my man. There we go.
My man talking about like he going to see Virginia. He watches country music all he listens to country music all day long. I was trying to be confident so he'd go with me, but I had no chance there. God,
I like that. Sam's in the hole. Now Sam has to play a little defense because he's in the hole. Are you nervous, Sam?
Yeah, that's not good when you go down 1-0 right there. I ain't gonna lie.
That's not good. Okay, so we got Chelsea is wait. I ripped the wrong question, but we'll I think it's Dale. We'll read that one.
Okay.
I'm out of order, Dale. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's one of the most popular shows on Netflix and based on the real life location in the Carolinas. Well, I love all these locations. Name the show. A, Outer Banks. B, Beach Town, Myrtle Beach. C, The Triangle. D, the Wilmington Shore.
Jack, so on you, sir.
I'm going with A, Outer Banks.
A, Outer Banks. Samuel, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going with A too.
All right, you both are correct. You just went A because he went A. You playing?
No, I was going to go. That's the thing. Like we should have switched it up. Like the question I had no chance at, I felt like was question 2. The first one and the third one, I could have easily went first.
Why do you want to like reorder the questions? You always ask the
look
at Chelsea's laughing at you because you asked
him. He's just tired of me winning. He's tired of me winning.
I am tired of you winning. Chelsea, let's go.
Audrey Kell High School opened in 2006.
Oh my God! Really? Hold on. Like we're going Audrey Kell question right
now.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
In what year did the Knights have their first winning record in football? A, 2006, B, 2007, C, 2010, D, 2012.
No pressure, Sam. If you lose this question, you lose the game. No pressure.
No, that's not necessarily true. C is the answer.
C is the answer. Jack,
I'm going to go with C as well.
You both are incorrect.
No.
It was B?
It was A.
A? They had a winning record?
It was B. They were 10-3 on the Martin right in 2007.
Audrey Kell opened strong out of the gate.
All right, so we're down to our last question, and Sam is down, so Sam must get a W. And I got to find this question.
Oh, it's not a question he knows right away.
Dale, who's reading this one? This is Dale reading this one. Okay, here we go. Samuel.
No, it's on him.
Who is the Carolina Panthers starting kicker? Ryan Santoso. A. B. Joey Sly. C. Graham Gano. D. Zane Gonzalez.
All right, Jack.
A. Ryan Santoso.
Sam.
Well, I can't go with him because I automatically lose. And he's probably right. But I'll go B.
B. Joey Sly. Joey Sly was the kicker who got cut in preseason.
Yeah, I knew it.
Ryan Santoso just got cut today.
Oh, really?
The kicker is Zane Gonzalez. So, Jack,
oh, really?
You win the game, Jack.
Yes.
Talk to it.
Good job.
Took you down.
Freaking unbelievable, man. Country question. What the heck?
I love it.
Audrey Kell question, country question.
I mean,
he didn't get the Audrey Kell catch.
I just want to know. Yeah, I'm struggling. Today I didn't have no clue about anything.
I finally
I knew the Outer Banks one. That was about it. But yeah, man, you did a phenomenal job. Good job. I know that he reached out to you on the low and said, "Hey, what are you confident in?" You were like, country music, big tires.
This was pure winning.
Okay.
Are you hearing this, Grace? Tell him, Grace.
Hey, Grace,
hold on. What did I say?
Grace, don't do that.
First L you'll take. Yeah.
All right, Jack, man, appreciate you.
Good Jack.
Good luck against Porter Ridge, all right?
Thank you.
Good job, Jack.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, absolutely. He was fun. That was Jack Maurer. He's one of the best long snappers in the state, actually.
He's legit. That's a huge deal. I'm trying to tell you, like,
yes, it is.
I understand that is a huge deal. Like, you call punt team like a damage control type situation, and I mean that could really devastate you and lose a game for you.
Yeah. All right, well, it's time to see who Miss Chelsea's got going on. And me and Sam will go in the back and let y'all have fun.
All right, so this week I interviewed Audrey Kell defensive back Jason Angulo, and his coach Mark Harmon was one of the people who reached out to me recommending him. And I just figured, after Audrey Kell's 3-0 streak so far, starting off with such a strong season, it'd be an appropriate time to set up an interview and share it. So, yeah.
All right.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Sipple from Talking Prep Charlotte, and here I'm interviewing Jason Angulo, who is a senior captain for Audrey Kell High School. He is also a defensive back. So, Jason, Audrey Kell is currently 3-0 in your football season. Just discuss what it's like to start off with that winning foot and being undefeated.
It basically shows that we're taking the right steps, not in game, but only in practices. It shows that we can get the job done. And it shows that that we've been down in games, and it shows that we can come out top even when we adjust. Awesome. And this is your senior year, and you're a captain. Just describe the leadership role that you've taken on this year. Not only me, but sort of all the captains. We usually help out all our teammates by keeping our heads up, usually during our lowest points in the game. And usually Wednesday, I get my position group and watch film on their offense, the opposing offenses, and see how they do. Nice. And this is your senior year, so kind of just reflect on some of your past accomplishments and some of the goals you're shooting for now. My accomplishments, I was named second team All-State, All-Conference. I was named Defensive Back of the Year on my team. We won conference 3 years in a row. And I'm shooting to win a state championship, win conference 4 years in a row, be named first team All-State and All-Conference again. That's awesome. And so kind of describe your game and yourself as an athlete on the field. I'm a person that's observational and patient. I wait for my opponents to do something first and to see how I can respond in the best manner. And reviewing as an athlete, I'm a person who tries. I'm a person who basically wants to get better, whether it's lifting or film. Awesome. And what in the Audrey Kell program, what about your football culture that you think makes you guys so successful? Our culture is we give 100% no matter what. And our mindset is we think we're the best and we know we're the best and no one outworks harder than us. Awesome. And what is your motivation in football? What keeps you going? My family, my teammates, God, most of all. That's awesome. And then finally, you have this upcoming game against Porter Ridge. What's the expectation and how are you guys hoping to keep pushing these wins? We expect to win. We defensively on our side, we expect to shut them out and to not have any mental errors on both sides. And we usually do that by running situational tempo things to help clean up every mistake that we make. Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing how that game turns out. And again, thank you so much for hopping on. This is Jason Angulo, senior captain from Audrey Kell High School. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Oh, great job, Chelsea. Hey,
Yeah.
Bryce, I don't know if you took notice there, but that Jason, he might need to be on Grice's gyms one day. He made some pretty good open field tackles.
Oh, he did. And I just love those type of kids because those kids are the type that look like they could be on the debate team and knock your head off in the same kind of space. Love the versatility there for sure. Chelsea, you continue to do a great job, and
Thank you.
I enjoy Chelsea's world just because it's that opportunity for you to shine and show what you can do. And I don't know, Chris, I think it's time to get her in on some One's Got to Go. We're going to petition Langston to get her in there and keep her in that rotation because I always love hearing her talk.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I like the fact that Coach Harmon's reaching out to you, coaches from around the state's giving you a holler on your Twitter. That's pretty cool. They're starting to see the value in you promoting their athletes. So keep it going on.
Thank you, guys.
And Chelsea, let them know how they can contact you because, like I said, I keep wanting to do that every week because the bar keeps getting raised. At this point, dang, we're gonna have to get some college players the way you keep hitting these hard-hitting interviews. So how can they contact you?
My Twitter DMs are open. My Twitter @ is Chelsea Sipple. If you're interested, if you're a coach who wants your athlete featured, just shoot me a DM and I'd be happy to set up an interview.
Once again, Chelsea, thank you so much for bringing us into your world and another great interview. Okay, Guru, at this time, we got to get to Mr. Football. I think you put a new number 1 on that list. So Langston, drop the music so we can get to it.
See y'all.
Yeah, you're right, Bryce. We do have a new number one, but, we had some text messages back and forth today. We've had 3 number ones here in 3 weeks. Open dates have a lot to do with that, just the opportunity for some of these guys to really ball out. But Maureen Hampton, running back, committed to Carolina, Cleveland High School, he has just been a monster in the games I've seen him. He has made some really good defensive players look kind of tentative trying to tackle him because he is a load. He's just not a finesse running back. He is a full truckload of speed and power coming at you.
Oh, for sure, 100%. And like you said, as we're approaching the end of non-conference, teams getting their buys in. Again, you have some uneven games here where you get some snooze fest where guys are maybe playing 2 to 3 quarters. But a couple names you're starting to see creep into that top 5. Chambers had a bit of a scare, which from the football end was a little tough for him. But for their starters, normally in situations where they would dominate, it really got guys like Dalen Smothers, who's already won this last year. We got to see his brilliance this week. Casey Conception continues to show his greatness, and Tate Carney as well. Had I think about 200 yards, I think 2 or 3 touchdowns. So there are some guys putting up some monster performances to close the non-conference period out, and I think we got guys that are there. Another guy to watch that's kind of on that outside, kind of looking or sneaking up, is that Jacob Newman at South Meck. Of course, we'll talk about them a little bit later, but he's got some big-time games where he's going to need a big performance for his team to be successful. So we're definitely looking to see, how they can do.
So I got to see Jacob Friday night. What a ball game! That kid is. I think the move to South Mecklenburg was real good for him, but he really showed out Friday night.
Definitely. Looking even, Malachi Hamrick, I talked with Coach Littlejohn, the OC down at South Point, and they started to have some real problems in that second half, blocking those Shelby defenders. And it's some guys on this list, and we talk about this all the time. There could be so many more guys, but right now with these 16, you're starting to see some big-time performances from them. And, I'm excited to see how this is going to continue to go as we go throughout the season. But those top 3, even Tad right there at 4, Casey at 5, that's a strong top 5, and I'm excited to see how we get to the finish line here, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some guys on here that really keep creeping up. I look at the offensive numbers that Davie County keeps putting up. So that Tate Carney is just going to continue to get the rock in each game and just put up these video game-like numbers. Byron Brown and both Noah Rogers, they finally are more healthy now at Rolesville. So they have really looked good the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, man, a lot of great football being played from coast to the mountains. I can't wait to see how it kind of shakes out towards the conference races and towards the end of the year.
Definitely. So, hey, we'll keep on looking, but we want to give you guys another update on our Mr. Football watch list. Again, at the end, the top 3 will be invited live on our show where we'll unveil the winner. But, hey, I think it's time for one of our favorite segments, as Fresh Faces. Langston, drop that video.
All right, my man Grice, here we are for another edition here at Fresh Faces here on Talking Preps. Man, we had a lot of great action Friday night with some guys really getting it done. Let's take a look at these Fresh Faces.
All right, here. Again, got a guy here, Olympic Highs, DB Solo Barnes, Coach Darren Hart. Coach Darren Hart, defensive coordinator at Olympic, loves fast, tall, long, aggressive DBs. This is a kid that fixed that mark here. 6'3", 180, as you can see there. He's a guy that, comes up, plays fast, and, with the corner in that situation, you've got to be able to guard on the island in Coach Hart's defense. You see he can, play deep, and he can come up and deliver the boom, as you see here, Chris.
Yeah, just looking at these clips right here, 6'3", that's a tough defender to have to account for as an offensive play caller sitting back there kind of patrolling that space. And as you said, being able to come up there and deliver the boom. Let's look at him right here. Got the close angle film. Looking at the read. I would say, hey, able to make some open field tackles. That's a big-time player.
Oh, it is. And again, like we talk about the range, he's playing off, a good deal there, but still being able to come up and deliver the boom. Definitely look forward to see what he's going to do this year with Coach Hart and Coach Thompson, Olympic.
All right, Grace, let's shift gears and go here and talk about a young man that I'm sure that you know a lot about, running back and defensive back, Tamar Bivens. He had 121 yards against upstate South Carolina Power Gaffney. There's no shame in that. Gaffney's always a big-time team, also playing there in the reservation. Tell me about this game Friday.
Oh, man, it's a tough game against a great opponent. He's a great kid and really, broke out in this game against Gaffney, man. It's a hard runner. I mean, you're talking about a 5'11", 200-pound back. So a guy, when we want him to get the ball, he's going straight ahead. And he had a mammoth of a run here, as you can see, where you had Gaffney defenders all around, and he still was able to break through and score a big touchdown to kind of get us, in a position to try to get back in that game versus Gaffney. But, as a kid that you want to see a hard worker, a guy that just kind of embodies what we're trying to do as a program, and love to coach him.
Man, I love those big time runs again, especially against a big time team like Gaffney. I have a feeling Gaffney would fit in quite well with a lot of the big 4A schools up here in North Carolina. Always a premier team. I love the fact that we're going all the way down to the Wilmington area to Eastern North Carolina to talk about this next guy. It just shows the statewide aspect of us here, talking preps, coast to coast, mountains to the coast. RJ Green, senior quarterback from North Brunswick High School, has got 8 touchdown passes in the last 2 weeks. Grice, we're both QB guys. I was an offensive guy as well, but I'm going to let you talk about that.
I mean, anytime a guy has thrown 8 touchdown passes in a 2-week span, I don't care who you're playing. Heck, some of these guys on the air would struggle to do that. You see some of the explosiveness. You see the arm strength. Again, him being on one hash, making that throw to the opposite hash. Don't care who's there. He's able to get that ball out, get it to his receiver and score a touchdown. But, a lot of those guys, down east we've seen that midway game where, you had, the explosion of 2 quarterbacks with a lot of talent. There's a lot of good QBs down the eastern part of the state. And, I mean, it looks like RJ Green, if he continues on that pace, is going to do a lot to establish himself as one of those premier guys on the eastern part of the state.
And I love those bright helmets, very similar to Shelby, kind of like those bright Notre Dame helmets of the Scorpions. Man, who gotta love that nickname, the Scorpions. Also, we're going to look at Malachi Greer from Cox Mill High School, wide receiver, 6'2" frame, 165-pound receiver and DB. Let's look at his highlight intro right there. There's the big guy. Man, that's a good-looking young man.
Oh, it definitely is. And then, I talked with Coach Baker, and he just, loves this kid, the ability for him to be versatile. Talks about the receiver, but he's able to come up and lay a big hit here. Cox Mill started off extremely well. And, I mean, he definitely seems to be a part of, why they've done so. I just love the versatility and, some of these schools that, even though they're 4A, they're starting to put guys on both sides of the ball. As you can see here with the big-time pick, these receivers with good hands, defensive coaches are starting to see, hey, let me get that guy with good hands on the defensive side of the ball as well, as he makes some great plays here.
No, he's having a great season right there. Cox Mills Friday night didn't go as well. Huff snapped that six-game winning streak, but he's a good-looking player. Glad that we could get him here today on Fresh Faces. That's it for this week. Another good crop of young guys.
Love it. Love to see it. I mean, again, hopefully we can get, some more crop, of good young talent, across the state as we continue to do. So I'm ready for it next week.
All right. Well, there you go. Sam, I'm going to bring you back real quick. Gary said the reason why you lost was this.
That is very true. It's very true. Gary inspires me. It's just too bad that he went to Kate's skating ring. Was backward skating and slipped a little bit, but other than that,
Gary's on the IR this week. But all right, Sam, we'll have you back in a second. Time for a new segment we're calling the Great Debate. I want to get you guys' thoughts, Chris, Dale, and Alex. Big time school decisions this week. CMS requiring teacher testing or vaccination proof. Orange County last night, the school board was considering making mandatory vaccinations, but they didn't. They are requiring fans and players to wear masks. The players have to wear masks when they're playing. They don't have to wear them when they're playing. And you only have 2 fans per athlete. And then Union County is in the quarantine for non-positive students as well as contact tracing. Chris, your thoughts on all this? We'll just kind of go down the road.
Well, I'm going to try to be as insightful as Gary, but I'm afraid that I'm probably not going to live up to the rep that he has bestowed upon himself. CMS requiring teachers to show proof of vaccination or testing. I don't necessarily have a problem with it because I've been vaccinated and I am pro vaccinations, although I know that some of us here aren't and some of us think that they can get by without it. I don't necessarily have a problem. I know as a parent with some kids in school, I'd like to know that the teachers are being safe and doing things, or at the very least, just wearing a mask or whatever they've got to do to protect themselves. I know it's a slippery slope, but I think that I guess with the Delta variant, it is what it is. I guess it's acceptable. I'm not necessarily a fan of it, but I get the logic behind it.
Unmute your mic, Alex.
Anything and everything comes down to one simple reality. I am unconcerned by what anyone else is doing if I don't do what I do well and to the best of my abilities. Whether we're talking Orange County schools, whether we're talking Union County schools, whether we're talking Mecklenburg County schools, whether we're talking any of the 110 or so LEAs or local education agencies in the state of North Carolina. It all comes down to each LEA doing what they do well. How will it affect high school sports? It is what it is. I don't think we're in a position where we can go from, well, this school system did this school system did that. What are they doing over there? What are they doing over here? There, everywhere, on and on and on. I'm going to figure out the things that serve my students, my educators, my entire community as best as I can to promote optimized health, safety, and wellness, most conducive to new learning horizons and greater student achievement. And I'm going to do those things to the very best of my abilities, doing well what I do well and what best serves my community. And everything else in other school systems, it is what it is.
Okay, so this is about indicators as to what these systems have done and maybe what we can expect to see. I think one of the things that didn't occur out of the Orange County, when I first heard about this situation, they were talking about just completely not playing for the next 3 weeks. I think we need to, or I think we will see. I don't believe there's any debate here. I hate to call this stuff a debate because we got to do things to mitigate. And the requiring proof of vaccination, that's part of mitigation, is getting vaccinated and thus not allowing anyone in that's not vaccinated. There's a potential to cause spread. And I think other systems are going to see that, and probably we can look to see them implement. I do think we're going to probably see more across the board masking, required masking. These are indicators as to what's going to come, what we can expect to see to come about. Because in the end, we've got to do as much mitigation as we can. So just because these systems have done it, don't think it's going to end here. I think this is an indicator of what's to come.
All right, guys. Conference play starts this week. Teams can't. I mean, I guess you can, but it's not going to be as easy just to call around and find games. Do you guys think we're going to get through conference play? Do you guys think we're going to get through the playoffs without some? I'm worried that some teams are going to go unbeaten till November and then miss, the first round playoff game, the second round playoff game, and then their season be over. What do you guys think?
It is
I
what
think
it is.
you're going to see. Well, I'll start, Alex. I think you're going to see some teams that just don't play all the games. You're already seeing that. There's a handful of teams that's already played one game, and every week just continuously drop opponents. And so I think you're going to see that. I think it's going to be similar to what we saw back in the spring season. And I think some schools are going to be happy with that. I have spoken with coaches who have said their administrators are fine with them not going to the playoffs, that they're just going to provide what opportunities they can for their athletes to compete. But if they go to the playoffs to do it, if they don't, they don't. And I think some systems are okay with that.
Yeah. Alex?
It is what it is. None of us like this situation. None of us like the uncertainty of it all. all of us feel for everyone who's in these quandaries. It's terrible all the way around,
Right.
but it is what it is. So I
right,
reiterate what I said in my last answer. We do what we do well, and we leave it at that. And whatever happens, happens. It's beyond our control.
All right, Dale, I'll give you the final word.
Okay, so Friday night I was going to Pine Lake to watch football, and I get the coach Trotter contacts me and says we're having a quarantine. I think we're going to see more of this. One of the things Langston is in non-conference play, teams have opportunity to pick up other games. As they get into conference play, that's going to make it a lot tougher, and I think we're going to see more of this fall out. And I do want to throw out and just see what people think. One of my thoughts are that in conference, we get into conference play, if a team has a game and an opponent that can't play, I'd like to see that maybe teams have an opportunity to play 2 conference games if there's another opponent in the conference that has an open date, to go ahead and allow them to play and allow that to count towards final.
Let's bring in the head football coach, Sam. How would you feel if you had to make up a game and you got to play the same team twice?
It's better than not playing at all. So that I would definitely.
How do you think? But what happens if it's the powerhouse team in that conference? Shelby having to play the last place team in the conference. Would that be cool?
To Shelby, it would be cool. To the other team, it might not be cool.
I'm just saying because that's going to come up. I need a game. Yeah. The only game I can find is against the power.
I'm going to be honest with you. I said I'll never get vaccinated, but if they told me if my whole team's vaccinated, including coaches, we won't have to quarantine, we'll be able to make it through the whole season, I would do it. I would do it for that reason. That'd be the only way.
We got you on record.
Yeah. Why would you want to harm your opportunity to make it to the playoffs?
That's the only reason why I would do it. I know. Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm gonna be straight up with you, Dale. Like I said, the virus cannot affect me. I don't feel like it's just not gonna affect me.
So that's misinformation.
I wish I could put Chris in the one shot. You can say that.
I'm just being honest with you. I'm not trying to say.
I hope you take very good care of yourself. I do. I hope it does. I do think vaccinations make a difference. There was a guy that was super anti-vaccination. He thought it was a conspiracy theory. He was on Twitter and Facebook asking for prayers, and unfortunately he passed away early today. So I hope,
they're dying, Langston.
Yeah,
they're dying.
There's a young man.
And I'm talking about those anti-vaxxers.
Yeah, young man in Orange County's in ICU.
So you're trying to say no vaccinated people have died?
No,
I'm telling you, people like a pastor in Denver, Colorado, who mocked COVID-19 patients. He just died today. He was an anti-vaxxer.
Sam, I think a vaccine is like an umbrella. I think it prevents you from you're going to get a little wet, but it prevents you from getting drenched. I kind of look at it like that. All right, guys, we could be on vaccines all day long. It's time for Grice's Gym. Let's see who Grice and Chris brought up this week as the best performers in North Carolina from the week past.
All right, man. You ball. You're going to get the call from us, Grice's Gym. This is the best segment of the show, Grice.
Hey, I love it. I love that we get to highlight the guys that are having big performances, making big statements as we start to prepare into the meat of a lot of teams scheduled here. We'll get into a Grice's Gym alum, but also he's bringing his buddy here. So we got Dylan Bisson and Reggie Taylor. Had to do the quarterback receiver duo this week. Bisson, let me tell you, he's had big weeks before. This is his biggest yet. 16 of 19, 541 yards, 4 touchdowns in a big 68-12 win over Union Academy. Mount Island, hey, they've been doing well in that 1A space. It's hard to believe, Chris, they're 3-0 for the first time. Let's get into some of these records to really show you guys why I had to make him a gem. Set a new Gaston County scoring mark as far as his yards and touchdowns, breaking the one set by Ashbrook's Trey Bryce that was 9 years old. We had to bring Taylor in. Taylor balled. Excuse me. Taylor had 6 catches for 334 yards and 2 touchdowns against Union Academy. New Gaston County record and ties for the 5th most in NC public school history, Chris. That's some big-time stars and big-time balling by those 2 guys.
Man, no kidding. I also love the fact that you remember the alumni. You point that out. That is big time. I like that, Grice. But these were some great looking guys. Incredible top performances here on Friday night. Wow, 334 yards. That's like Madden football numbers. Let's look at this next guy up at North Henderson. Actually, we're not going to look at him. We don't have film, but Hassan Collington, 16 carries, 262 yards, 4 touchdowns against Owen High School. That was a shootout up there. You made that comment before, playing against air. I don't care if you're playing against anybody. 262 yards. That's a lot of work, Bryce.
Oh, that's impressive there. Again, you see with the score. I mean, they needed every single one of those touchdowns. We love, teams and players that ball and, help their teams to big wins. But to me, those games where those players where they ball exactly when their teams need it and are doing everything it takes to help their team get the victory, those are the special Grice's Gym. So Hassan Collington, your Grice's Gym this week for your great performance.
Well, these are the guys I like to talk about, the small school heroes. Bessemer City, another one of those 1A schools over there in Gaston County. Justice Cooper, he had an incredible outing Friday night. Let's look at the highlights right here. There you got Bessemer City in the green, running back. And you like to use that term phone booth football. Look at this little wing T action right here out of the backfield.
It's great. And I tell you, hey, it makes it even better when the other team knows you're running the ball. The other team knows that you're a high probability that you're doing that, and you're still able to have success. That's big time ball here. And you see him carrying defenders, grounding great yards here. QB Jameer Holmes there. Big boy. He loves to have a guy like this with Justice Cooper that he's able to give the ball to and know that somebody's gonna make a big play with it. So 239 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's a big win for Bessemer City out there, and he's got to be at Grice's Gyms for that great performance.
Absolutely. Gap down linebacker. That is such an easy offense to teach. It looks complicated, but, man, that is such big time. Here's another program that has been just putting out killer numbers all year. Davie County scored 51 points against Mooresville. Alex Summers had a school record 434 yards career passing. Let's take a look at it right here. This is some big-time numbers.
And we all know Mooresville is no slouch of a team, so to put up those numbers and set a school record in doing so, that's big-time ball here. So Davie County had 598 yards of total offense, and clearly he was a big reason why. Look at him, being elusive out, getting out of the pocket, able to throw the ball, get big gains here. I mean, it's we talk about these stats, and I always tell people, hey, if you're bringing stats, you're bringing numbers, you got to bring it to be a Grice's Gym. People are doing some incredible things out here, and Alex Summers, is really showing and embodies that this week with Grice's Gym. Great throw there, as you can see, against Mooresville. Great pass. We got to also mention our Mr. Football guys. Tate Carney ran for 199 and 2 touchdowns and had a receiving touchdown as well. Zymir Hudson was the key guy that Alex was throwing to. 8 catches, 197 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So Alex Summers, you got to be at Grice's Gym. I had to shout out the support that helped you do that, but that was a great performance against a team that's well respected in this area. Wow,
Coach Tim Devericks and that entire Davie County offense is going to cause some defensive coordinators to have to take some goodies, headache powders, how to come up with a way to stop that this year. Let's look here at Mr. Football himself, Hollywood, Dalen Smothers, Chambers High School. What an effort he put forth Friday night. Let's take a look at it.
Woo! Hey, it's tight when they had to get in some power eye, but this is a Grice's Gym alumni, Mr. Football, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many things and so many adjectives and superlatives we use with this guy, but let's not make no mistake about it. They needed this kid when in a game that, hey, Coach Jupiter Wilson gave those Julius Chambers Cougars everything they could handle, and this kid had to show exactly why we've said those things about him in a big game. 200 yards rushing, as you can see, the 38 yards receiving for him. He was the offense, and I think it's in a situation where we knew, and anybody who was around the stadium knew that Hollywood was getting the ball for Chambers and that he was going to do everything he needed to be successful. Look at him throwing a block there to help KC Conception get some big yards there on the jet sweep. So it's not a secret. It's not a surprise. It's not a guy new to this, but we still have to highlight him to show it. I wanted to highlight him because he balled in a key game against a great opponent.
And Grice, you're not old school enough to know that was actually the wishbone. Actually, I'm old enough that I've coached in a wishbone.
I'm sorry. I thought it was power eye. That's my fault. I'm sorry. I'm used to 5 wide receivers. Hey, that is my fault.
Man.
That was bad.
Give me Wishbone, 5 yards, cloud of dust every day, and I'm a happy man. All right, let's look at this stuff about the big guy here at the bottom. Will Taylor, Greenville Rose quarterback. They finally snapped their 3-game losing streak with a big game against Southwest Onslow. Went 7 for 10, 252 yards, 4 touchdowns. Let's just take a look at this arm right here. That's why he went 7 for 10. His passing average has to be like 87 yards a pass.
Oh my goodness! Every pass is backed up inside on their side of the 50. But we love the high efficiency, love the big throws there. And again, we don't see guys just running by themselves. Those are great throws that are well placed to avoid the defender and ensure only his receiver can catch it. Every single one of these highlights shows exactly why he was able to be successful in this game. Again, another guy with high efficiency, big numbers, and leading his team to a big victory. So, Grice's Gyms, like I tell you guys every single week, if you ball, you give us a call. Send us your highlights. We want to feature you as much as we can and in every way possible. So I'm at Coach Jay Grice, Langston Wirtz Jr. on Twitter, at Guru Chris Hughes. Send them to any of us on Friday night. Again, if you think your performance is well worth it, please let us know. We want to feature you. But this crop of Grice's Gyms might be one of the best this season already.
All right. I love that slogan too. You ball, give us a call. Probably gonna have some big time games this week, some balling. So always fun.
Oh, I'm ready for it. Now, Chris, I think we're going to me, one of the most impressive segments in the show. I mean, you literally rank every team in the state of North Carolina. Langston, I think we got to get this going here soon.
All right, man. Well, the Grice is right. Well, we got a lot of big-time games to talk about this week. But first, let's take a look at the North Carolina 1A state rankings that come out. Eastern Randolph there holding strong, number 1. Had a big win over 3A Burlington Williams over there in Memorial Stadium. They've got a big game this Friday night against Walkertown. Tarboro there, number 2. Mount Airy is a team in 1A you really need to think about. They have just been blowing everybody they've played out, and they've played some good teams. Thomasville as well. That's a team going up with the Bullet. Robbinsville is kind of holding strong. Andrews had a blowout win over Mitchell. Mitchell's already had some impressive games this year. Mountain Heritage is one of those teams that's really been sidelined with the COVID bug. So hopefully Coach Joey Robinson's Cougars can get back on track. Northside, they lost that tough game against Murphy in the state championship game. They continue to look good. They've got a senior-heavy team. They're going to make another run in the East. And then you look at Murphy right there. They have lost a few games in a row now, played some tough Georgia opposition. I'm not worried about Murphy come playoff time. They're going to be fine. But that's you look at the 1A teams, and we're going to move on up to the 2A as soon as we get a graphic, gentlemen.
And Chris, it's always interesting with the 1A, of course, having to fill in for you that one time. Be wary of the rematch. A lot of those teams are going to play each other again come November. And the teams that are kind of maybe in 9th or 10th, you don't learn your lesson, you might be going home a little earlier than you anticipated.
It happens more often than you think, especially with teams like Robbinsville and Murphy and Swain County. They typically play twice a year because of just being dominant in the half of the playoffs. I anticipate it most likely happening again. Here's that 2A file. Reedsville again, number 1. They're actually 3-0 now. They played Saturday morning and defeated county rival Rockingham County 44-8. Northeastern holding there. Salisbury, they are looking as strong as ever. They have not been scored on this year. Obviously, we know Jalen Walker, one of our Mr. Football nominees. He has had continued to have a great year. Maiden looking really, really strong. Shelby, they've lost a game, but they're still, they've played a little bit more of an aggressive schedule. But I think the Golden Lions will be fine. Clinton's one of those teams that haven't played a lot. Hendersonville went out and played the number 1 team in the 3A in South Carolina, hosted D.W. Daniel Friday night. Props to Coach Jim Sosby for doing that. There you see Wallace Rose Hill, St. Paul's, Washington. Some good football teams there in Eastern North Carolina.
Oh, without question. I think, you're starting to see some of the Eastern influence, but as it is with 2A, somebody's got to beat Reedsville, and I think they're always the team that's going to be hard to beat in that 2A area.
I agree. Totally. There you see the 3A ranking. Scotland Second week in a row, holding on to that number one spot. Went on the road to Marlboro County, Bennettsville, South Carolina. Always a tough place to play against the Charlotte native, Coach Bobby Collins. So big win for Richard Bailey and that team. Lee County holding steady. 71st out of Fayetteville. They're a team to kind of keep an eye on if you're a big 3A fan. That's a team that's really making some noise. They're really big and physical, as most 71st teams are and have always been. So just got to keep an eye on them. Dudley, Havelock. Havelock's one of those teams that hadn't really played a lot of ball just because of the pandemic. Jacksonville, to me, is still that team that I've kind of got my eyes on. I think this Cardinal team might be a really good one. Kings Mountain, South Point Crest, James Hunt, rounding out the top 10. Hunt's another one of those teams in Eastern North Carolina, Alex, that is pretty good.
The Warriors always are in the mix. And it's something that's just overlooked time and again because they're tucked away in an area where a lot of publicity goes to the likes of Tarboro, Rocky Mount, recently Southern Nash, and they're tucked in that little crescent right there. But people overlook the fact that Wilson County has quite the tradition and always plays very good competitive football. I'm sure a lot of high school football historians will remember back in the day when Wilson County peaked during the early 1990s in the Hunt Beddingfield rivalry, when the Hunt star was Octavius Barnes, who went on to UNC. And the Beddingfield star was Corey Thomas, who went on to Duke. And they went head-to-head in the Hunt Beddingfield arch rivalry during their days in Wilson County. So Wilson County's always had very, very good football. It's just tucked away in a shadow. Tarboro, Rocky Mount, Southern Nash. So people just overlook it because of that. But no surprise there with Hunt.
Yeah, and also just with Hunt, you got Coach Juan Jackson, who has stepped on, just came on board, and they've done a really good job. Now we're going to move on up to the 4A rankings. So you see them right there. No surprise, Chambers number one team. Huff is still second. I love what I see from this Huff team. I think if they played each other, I would say it's a 50-50 kind of ball game. I don't know if you guys agree, but I think Huff is certainly going in the right direction, as is East Forsyth. But I want to tell you guys, after I've really broke down the film, and I came to this realization even after I put forth these rankings together, I'm still not 100% sure, even in my heart of hearts, that Cardinal Gibbons might not be the second best team in North Carolina. They are absolutely monsters. Just look good on both sides of the ball. We've certainly seen how tough they played Chambers in that week one game. So keep an eye on them. Cleveland, Maureen Hampton, we know all about that program. Grimsley struggled a little bit on the road against a solid Pinecrest program. Newbern had that huge win over Big 5A power Maury out of Norfolk, Virginia. That's a strong statement kind of win for Coach Tori Noel's Bears. Richmond right there, they just kind of where they are. We know they're good, but we don't really know how good they are. That Raider Magic's always due to come back. Ardrey, they got an opportunity to really move up, as does Northern Guilford. A lot of really good programs in the 4A.
4A Fight Club, like I say, you look at a team like Butler, who, is 1-2, and by all measures, 1-2 does not signify a big program. Oh, but their losses was it to St. John's and DC and to Richmond by less than a touchdown? That's a team to me that I think could be considered as a top 5 team, and I wouldn't argue, but because of this is the 4A Fight Club, they can't be considered in there. So it's one of those tough things, but I think there are a lot of great programs in the 4A, and it's just so hard for you to rank them. So kudos to you for doing that.
Hey, well, no problem. It's what I do. Been doing it for a long time. Let's take a look at these games to watch for Week 5. There you see Mount Tabor going to West Forsyth. That's a big CPC battle. There's going to be a lot of big CPC battles up there. So I'm looking forward to that one. Again, I mentioned Ardrey having their big game. Reagan, another CPC battle, going over to play East Forsyth. Providence at Charlotte Catholic. A.L. Brown, Kannapolis going over to Hickory Ridge. Leesville Road. Trying to, they had a sluggish performance against Southern Durham. Wake Forest just got completely manhandled by Gibbons. Havelock there at Newbern, North Lincoln at Statesville. Looking here at the other side, just a couple games that kind of stand out at me. Thomasville, I mentioned both of them and Salisbury earlier. They're going at it. Should be a great game. I like this West Charlotte and Mallard Creek. I know we got the two guys on here. I think that Mallard Creek is going to be a better team. I talked to Coach Tinsley on the phone last night because of that game against Gaffney. And I think that obviously West Charlotte's going in that right direction too.
I mean, it to me, I think it speaks to what Coach Griner's, done with that program, that game is even considered on this list. And, of course, Coach Harris laid the foundation there, but I definitely feel like Coach Griner's continued to advance the program. And, again, for us, I mean, I do think it's a blessing in playing a top talent, such as Gaffney. We were able to see a team, again, that's a power, and that, playing teams like that definitely show and expose where you can improve. But, we had some chances and had opportunities to really bring that game closer. But good teams are going to do what good teams do. But this is a heck of a list here. And I mean, as we're getting into conference play, I mean, goodness to the conference schedule creators here. There's some some really crazy first games here. And again, like you pointed out, as I call them, the baby IMEC up there. I mean, Tabor at West Forsyth, Reagan at East Forsyth, two major games that I think are going to be big time for that conference up there, the 336.
Yep. Well, Grice, let's take a look at your big game of the week.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I went off the reservation a little bit. As we looked at the list, Guru, I looked at some games, and again, I talked about the 336 games. I looked at, of course, our game. But to me, the game that stood out was the Catawba Ridge at South Met game. I think it's a very intriguing game for two programs that I think are in similar spots, that this win could really propel one of the programs. So here are my keys. I mean, the first game, can the running game help, Catawba Ridge QB Jaden Davis? I mean, we know all about him. It's hard to believe he's only a sophomore. I feel like he's been playing for 30 years. It's one of those things. But, he's had a great season so far. 9 touchdowns to 1 pick, averaging almost 260 yards a game. But the key is, can the combo of Bowen and Jones in the running back, as running back, can they help him out? I mean, we know that he's going to come to play. We know he's going to be successful. But if they're able to produce on the ground to really just take some of the pressure off the QB, I really think that, this is going to be big for that program, because, Jaden Davis is going to find the Henderson kid. He's his leading receiver. We know about him with plenty of offers all around. But that running game is going to be key for Catawba Ridge so they can help that offense continue to be successful. Flipping to the other side with South Met, quarterback Cam Reese, he's got to show he can make the big throw. We know about Mr. Football, semifinals, I guess you can call them, quarterfinals, wherever we want to put Jacob Newman. He's had a big season so far. But Cam Reese, and in the games that they've played, when he's been able to make the big throw, you've seen that offense be successful. Everyone is going to have their attention on Jacob Newman, and it's time for him to show as a junior that he can step up and make it. Finally, this game is that key next step for both programs here. I think a South Meck win over Catawba Ridge, that's going to show everybody that Joe Evans is here. He got it on Langston. He said, "Hey, nobody here at whatever the upset." Nobody thought it was an upset. So now this is a game that we expect you to win. We're at home, Coach. This is a game that you guys have the plan together. You have the talent. You have the fans behind your back. This is one that you got to have. If that's not an upset before, that means this one's got to go there. Catawba, Coach Lindak has done a great job so far. But, hey, if they're going to make that state championship run, of course, with a QB like Jaden Davis, this cannot be a game that you lose. So these two teams, I think a lot is going to be made out of this game. Even though it's non-conference, even though it's between, teams in two different states. This game will be quite a feather in the cap for one of these programs as they're attempting to show, hey, we're ready to take that next step and contend for some big-time football.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of cool. Jaden Davis, the number 1 player in the country in the class of 2023. Not quarterback, not running back, number 1 in the country. Sam, you coached a guy like that once at your school. And that's a pretty cool deal right there, the number 1 in the country.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know much about their quarterback. I just know that he is the number 1, like you said. But really good. I like my boy Joe Evans, about 14 in this game.
Okay. All right. Big time prediction from Samuel. It is time for One's Got to Go. Let me find my music.
All right, we all know the time in the show that one has got to go. Let's do this and just keep it moving here. Ice cream novelties, popsicles, ice cream sandwich, Nutty Buddy, push-ups, or the banana split. And we'll go top down. Which one's got to go, Sam?
I don't like push-ups or banana splits, so this is easy. I'm going to go with push-ups just because it's pure sugar, all bad sugar. At least the banana's better sugar for you. So, yeah, push-ups got to go.
Dale.
I would go with popsicles.
Chris.
On a hot day? Popsicle?
All the other four are much better. So
I would say a banana split.
I
I'm
don't,
gonna
I
go
don't
with
want
Dale.
to. I don't want to butt in here, but I just got to ask Dale. Would you put Frank's on a popsicle?
You want me to make a Frank's
I see a video
popsicle for you? I'll see if it'll freeze.
You said you put that S on everything. I'm just wondering.
I do. So yeah, I would make one out of it. How's that?
That is
So I do have to say, Dale's on point here because the popsicles have to go. Why do the popsicles have to go? If you want a popsicle, make yourself some Kool-Aid and put it in the freezer and let it get nice and icy, but don't let it freeze all the way, and you got a popsicle right there. You don't need a popsicle. Make some Kool-Aid and put it in the freezer. Popsicles got to go. All right, which college pregame ritual is going to go? The Flaming Spirit, Florida State, running down the hill at Clemson, the Sandstorm Space Odyssey at South Carolina, or the Inner Sandman at Virginia Tech? Sam, what's got to go?
The Flaming Spears got to go because they're garbage right now. Like they ain't spearing nobody. I mean, there's no way you get rid of the running down the hill Clemson. That's an amazing deal. The Sandstorm, Space Odyssey, I'm with it. I understand. The Enter the Sandman is probably the second best in the whole college football. So the Flaming Spear, I mean, I get it. It's kind of cool, but I would say until you start winning again, you can't throw no spears.
Dale.
I'm gonna just do this based on least impactful because USC and Virginia Tech got it going on. Those two are some of the most crowd invigorating things I've seen. The Flaming Spear, I think, has kind of lost its flair, unfortunately. I think both the running down the hill and the Flaming Spear is between those two, and I'm gonna say the Flaming Spear.
Chris.
I want to say running down the hill. In this kinder, gentler, litigious society that we live in where somebody's just looking for an opportunity to sue somebody. One of these days, a kid's going to trip going down that hill, break somebody's leg. It's going to cause all kinds of chaos, and they're going to put an end to it.
Whoa. You're saying running down the hill, the Clemson running down the hill, you're going to get rid of that. The best
I'm going to get rid of
college football.
I'm going to get rid of it.
These are athletes. We're not going to get hurt going down the daggone hill. Unbelievable. I cannot believe it, Chris.
Well,
blasphemous.
I did get to go down the Clemson slide last time I was there, though. That was pretty cool.
I'll help you out here. Which one of these have to go? All of them have to go. They're all absolute. They're all absolute. They're all absolutely overrated and have absolutely nothing to do with what happens between the lines. This is the problem right here, why sport has lost some of its efficacy, because we want to put more emphasis on what happens before the game as opposed to what happens in the game. So no wonder that there's more emphasis on pregame music and what kids end up, can we get this music to get pumped up? I got pumped up because I got beat on the last play.
It's about the entire experience.
The biggest tradition. The experience is about being successful between the lines.
No, the experience is about going to a game. You got kids, you got people sitting in the stands. The experience is the entire thing. It's not.
The experience is about what happens between the lines.
Not what this is about.
That's not what that's about. Honestly, all of those right there will get beat out when West Charlotte football's in its prime. Nobody beats the West Charlotte pregame experience, and certainly none of those do. All right, a football pet peeve. What's got to go? Missed tackles, instant replay delays, targeting ejections, or 4-hour college football games. What's got to go, Sam?
Targeting ejections. I think it's so controversial. I know what they're trying to do. I just think there's a way that you make a guy sit out a quarter or something like that. But this whole game thing is ridiculous. You know, I think people get the point. No one's trying to do certain things, but the targeting, ejections, like give them a 15-yard penalty. Worst case scenario, they have to sit out a whole quarter, or like give them a penalty. You know, like in hockey, they have penalty minutes. Give them penalty minutes or something. But the whole game, it's a little ridiculous.
Dale.
Yeah, the worst of these four is to be at a game, that 4-hour college football game. So if you're at the game, that's got to be the worst experience.
I disagree in one aspect. If they got funnel cakes, I'm down before.
Funnel cake, those nachos with jalapenos on.
Yes,
There you go. Yeah. All
Chris,
right.
what has to go?
You know, I love the college football experience. I go to as many games as I possibly can. And in fact, I'm going to be there 2 or 3 hours before eating food out in the parking lot. So, you know, you wait all year for college football. I don't mind spending 4 hours there to get my full money's worth in the attendance. I'm with Sam, however. I think the ejection targeting is a subjective kind of deal. You just never know unless you can just put blatant intent, and it's a grossly bad play where you need to get rid of the guy. You know, you can tell his intent was to hurt someone, but to throw a guy out and to potentially put him out a quarter the next game, I'm just not a big fan of it.
All right, I'm going to take a contrarian perspective on this one. I know everyone's stunned by that, but no, let's keep the targeting ejection, simply because maybe sooner or later we'll have an NFL or college football version of Steve Javie come on and break down every time an ejection like this happens.
Let's just play flag football then.
But which one of them really has to go? The missed tackles have to go. Why? Very simply, get on D. All right, summer shoes. Which ones have to go? Crocs, flip-flops, sandals, or sneakers? Sam, which ones have to go?
Are we talking about Jesus sandals? Or are we talking what kind of sandals are we talking about right here? I'm gonna say like them little strapped on like around your ankles and stuff. They got a bunch of straps. I'm gonna call those sandals. Those got to go. Crocs. I used to be like, why aren't we wearing Crocs? But you can go strap mode, and you can work out in them still, stuff like that. Flip flops you gotta have to let the dogs air out. Them sandals though, I feel like I'm bounded. I feel like I got chains bounded around my legs. Those got to go.
Dale.
Oh boy, I'm not a big fan of Crocs, so they got to go.
I'm getting you some Crocs, Dale.
All right, you're gonna make me a fan, huh?
Yeah.
You're gonna convert me.
Chris.
All right, you know, I'm with you, Sam. You know, them Jerusalem cruisers that Jesus had, you know, you don't want to just get rid of them. But when you got old man out there wearing white socks under sandals in the summer, it's got to go.
It does. It has to go. You are not lying.
Jerusalem cruisers. Hey, Lakes, we need that clip. I need that clip.
Nice.
Line of the night.
All right, guys. What time is it?
One, Langston, drop it.
Welcome to another edition of
All right, y'all hear that?
Yeah, it's time. Part one this week. Part one of the Thunderdome. I got to get my lick back, Griner. Got to get my lick back. I changed teams and all to get my lick back this week, Griner.
I'm with you.
All right, who's going first?
Nice little text. I'm going to put this on the screen if I can like forward it over.
Oh, I firmly believe it. I absolutely stand by it. Like it's one or the other. So to be fair, we had a conversation out kind of on our own. And I just feel like the way that this game's going to go, it's either going to be a dogfight or we're just going to come out absolutely just go hashtag Angry Creek on them. But either way, I say that to say, you know, even before we start, Coach, I look forward to, you know, to playing you, being on the other side or coaching against you. Feel like we're playing hell as much as me and you be jumping up and down, yelling and screaming. But, you know, again, it's always an honor, Coach, man. You know, you guys do your thing wherever you are, and it's going to be fun, and we're going to get to it. But let's get to the Talking Preps version.
All right. Do I need to flip a coin, or does somebody want to volunteer to go first?
I mean, I'll receive. I'm going to receive. He defers. I'm going to receive. Yeah,
All
I'll
right,
take
hey,
it.
I defer. You're right.
Okay. All right. Let's do it. Coach Grice, you're up first. Gap scheme versus a zone scheme.
I mean, since I've got the ball, I've got to say, I mean, granted, I think when we played, I think I ran more gap scheme against you than you versus us. But it took me a little while, but I'm really a big fan of gap scheme, against high school defenses. I mean, I think I've been on both ends of the spectrum, having smaller, kind of quicker offensive linemen, and now having kind of bigger offensive linemen that can do a little bit more. I think gap scheme has really been effective for us. It's something I'm a believer of. Heck, the head coach I'm with now is a real big believer in it. I just think it provides linemen the opportunity. Just if we're able to get out and use some of our speed to get out and kind of create different angles, and even still, it just allows the opportunity for teams that blitz or do funky stuff like Griner's defense, like some of these other coaches who aren't as good as Griner on D. For offensive linemen, it takes a lot of the thinking out of it. It just says, hey, I got a guy, I can down block here on my inside. Let's just go ahead and wash that and take care of the trash. And the running backs a lot of times seem to benefit a lot more.
I'm with you. I mean, I used to hate zone scheme. I kind of adapted into the zone scheme a little bit more now, just because I see Dalen Smothers be. I kind of like, man, can I get it Smothers? So so I'm like, man, maybe we just need to run zone, and we got guys that can do that. But gap scheme has been more of my deal as well. I like telling a high school kid, you don't want 15, 16-year-old kids making decisions necessarily for your livelihood, for your family. I always say that. There's some kids that can do it, but the majority, you want to kind of guide them where they need to go and then let them play football. That's the way I like to coach, and the gap scheme is more a way of doing that.
I agree with both of you. I like the gap scheme as well. All right, Coach Griner, you're up again on the second question. Coin toss in high school football, do you kick or receive if you win?
Well, you don't do either of those. You defer to the second half, because if you say I kick, then you're going to be kicking twice.
Kick it both times.
And that happened when we were in college. That happened at Catawba going against Lenore Ryan, our captain. I was one of them, but our speaking captain said, we want to kick. And he's like, you sure you want to kick? He said, yeah, we want to kick. And then we were kicking and kicking at the half too.
That's crazy. No, for me, I mean, being an offensive guy, of course, it's definitely to receive. I mean, I think, one big thing.
So we're calling a coin toss right now? We don't need to do a coin toss. You want to receive?
I'm not the head coach. Let's be very clear. It's not my win-loss record on the line.
No, you just called it. Like, I'm going to tell the officials. I'm going to text right now.
You got to text Tennessee. I'm not the head coach. So that's not my win-loss record on the line. My win-loss record is 0-0. Not impact. That's what I tell you, it's your win-loss record, so do what you need. But if I were in that position, I want to receive. I think the biggest thing is, if you've practiced, if you've repped hard, with your offense to get out on with a good start, I think putting another team on that back foot can really adjust what they're trying to do offensively, even if you don't score, but can do what you can to flip the field and put their offense in a bad spot. You can do a lot starting that game to help kind of put your defense on a good foot there. And even if you don't, you still have that opportunity, coming at the end of the second quarter. A lot of teams want to go 2-minute drill. That's something where you can push no matter what. We're an up-tempo team. I'm an up-tempo guy. I'm going to make sure I'm getting that ball down to get points, second half, or to start the second half. And then, hey, my defense, I'm going to put it in their hands on the second half, because that's when it's their time to be great.
True story, 2007, our Douglas Byrd Eagles went on the road to Richmond County Raider Stadium. God love him, our quarterback, Terry McKinnon. We won the toss. He said, let's kick. We kicked off twice. But I love kicking off that second half, or kicking off to begin the game, get the ball second half, get a long drive to start that third quarter, set the tone. That's a great way. Final question, though, right here, gentlemen. There we go. I'm sorry. Quarterback location in high school, shotgun or under center?
I'll take it.
Or who's up, you or me?
Hey,
you're up.
Yeah, I mean, so I think it's different. So I think it's a situation where before had I coached, I guess, Chris, when you did, back in the Stone Ages, I'd have been under center. But I think now you have so many more athletic linemen. Heck, one of Gronin's linemen 2 years ago was in the backfield running the ball. Like, these kids that play offensive line are so much more athletic and could do so much more. I never forget, even growing up, we had a guy on our team who's 6'4", 315 pounds, all-state guard, and he was always our freaking, your all-time quarterback whenever we played tag ball because he was the best quarterback on the team. But you have so many more of those athletic guys now to where being in the shotgun or being even in the pistol, depending on your preference, is more preferential for the run scheme. I mean, I think that, it always gets people upset whenever you are in shotgun inside the 5, but the running angles are so much better. The things that you can do, the play action, it's easy for you. If you do want to throw the ball, you don't have to worry about, hey, I've got to turn my back to the defender. I've got to do all these things. Now it's a simple, hey, catch and throw.
Yeah, it depends. The question depends on two things, I think. What kind of quarterback do you have? Do you have a traditional pocket passing, really good, or do you have like a running quarterback? Because shotgun, you're involving him in the running game. That's the big knock I always talked about. I'm bringing Tim Tebow back in here. We had that sucker under center, and he's a shotgun guy because he threatens the line of scrimmage, and it makes teams play differently. When he's under center, they can play a traditional defense versus him, and he got no chance. So if you're running a Catholic type offense, you need to be underneath center because most of your plays are either traps or some type of base plays that need to hit really quick. And misdirection is very critical. I wish, I honestly think under center's more sexier, I guess to say. I love it. But shotgun is just the more base of what it's doing. If you go underneath center too much, kids ain't going to come to your school. Just be honest.
Wow, and Chris is nodding his head. That's pretty serious. Okay, before we go to Sam's final thoughts, can you guys shake hands after the game Friday night, Grice and Sam? Will y'all still be friends?
Oh yeah,
after the game.
It's deeper, and that's kind of what I tell people, man. It's deeper than football, with he and I, and that's the one thing. Like, win or lose. I mean, I lost last year. We're still on the field talking for a freaking hour after the game.
So if one of y'all goes Tommy on the other and puts up 97, we still all good.
Just in one game.
Say, if they can score 97 on us, they better daggone do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll never complain about it because you ran the score up on me. It's my fault. It's my job to make sure you don't score that many points.
Let's be very clear. I was on the other end of that 71-0 butt whooping last year. Yeah. I do not complain on either side of where I am with that. So if I'm on the 71 side, oh well, I've had it happen to me.
That's what's up. All right, well, it's that time of show for the big star to give us his final thoughts.
Well, big game for us. I think it's huge. We're starting conference, and we're going off one of the most traditionally great schools in our conference, Mather Creek. I'm excited about this, but I'm more excited, to be honest with you. Me and Grice have built a great relationship. I really, really like him a lot outside of this deal, outside of coaching. He's a great dude. But I expect my kids, when they come on the field, they're going to be happy to see me, but they know that Grice is coaching against me, and they cannot wait to see Grice again after that night that they had with the dinner. They all they do is talk about how cool Grice is. They were laughing and giggling the whole night, so they might be more excited to see Grice than even myself.
That's funny. Well, they did have a good time. Grice was very entertaining. And before we go, Grice, answer this question for Dalton. He wants to know, is a triple option effective in high school football?
I mean, I'd say yes, of course. I mean, I think, our best examples are, Lake Norman and Porter Ridge, in this area that continue to do it and experience success. Success being, making the playoffs, and I think that, again, if it fits your kids, if those are the type of kids you have, if you're in a conference where you need to be different, that is a perfect way to be different. And I think those two programs embody that. Chris?
Well, I was just going to add on. Triple option does not mean old school football. You don't have to line up in the I formation.
Ooh, tell them.
You can get in a spread, you can get in a wing T, you can get in any formation you want to and run triple principle. So I think it can be just as modern as you want it to be, Sam.
So here's a point that I want you to understand. In North Carolina, I don't think a triple option team can win a state championship in today's format. The reason why, now I love that I love that West Point, Navy, I like these teams that do it in college because you get so many more reps at it The issue with triple option is that when you, like I said, you put a 15, 16-year-old kid's decision-making in his own hands, he's reading something and he hands it off, there's going to be more fumbles that happen. If you don't win a state championship, you can't lose turnover battles and things like that. And there's a game you might have 2 or 3 turnovers with the triple option, even though you won a lot of games. You might not have won them earlier in the season. When you get into the playoffs, it's just very difficult to win in the triple option because you have to take ball security into it. And we're not South Carolina where we get all the practice time in the spring. Think about that. So you only have a little bit of time to work on this, and that is a very crafty thing you have to be great at.
Yeah. Sam, but you're missing that same thing applies on the other side of the ball. And thus triple option can be very hard to defend against because of assignment and reads. And so kids have just as hard a time on that side of the ball as well. And that's why it can be effective if you have good athletes and good line. You can be very effective because kids will break down in their decision making.
That's why you don't I had a great defense coordinator in college that taught me a lot of different things about that. I like going against triple option because I bring in an option type defense where it still goes along with what we do, but it doesn't confuse the kids. Here's a great example. Porter Ridge. When we won the championship on that run in 2017, Porter Ridge had one of the best quarterbacks there was in North Carolina, as he's showing it at Coastal Carolina right now. They ran the same offense he's running in college right now. Okay, that is a triple option type deal. All right. What happened in the game? They scored 10 points because they were good at what they did, but they were just better on defense. It helped their defense versus us because we had less possessions and things like that. But it's not that hard to stop it if you know what you're doing, I think.
All right. Well, there you go. Hope it answers your question, Dalton. We got some brilliant football minds. I'm glad to share the knowledge. I almost made it on time tonight. So I'm Langston. That's Sam. That's the coach who will be back next week. Win, lose, or draw, I hope, Sam. The Guru, Chris Hughes, #1 voice of high school football. Alex Bass, the contrarian. Skip Bayless of the show. Dale Ross. And my man, Jonathan Grice, the offensive coordinator at Malley Creek. I'm Langston. We'll catch you guys next week. We are talking preps.
Offensive coordinator.
Oh, quarterback coach.
Did you get it? Did you get it?
My bad. Quarterback coach. That's me. He didn't say that. That's me.
He is offensive coordinator. Do not let that bullshit.
Somebody got fired.
We'll catch